back to verse 12. I arose in the night, I and a few men with me. I told no one what my God had put in my heart to do at Jerusalem. We're talking about wisdom. It's not time to share the vision yet. It's just time to assess the situation. Nor was there any animal with me except the one on which I rode. So here we are at night, checking it out. Sanballat and Tobiah, they're probably, what would you call it, 3 sheets to the wind by now. They've had their 12 pack already, and they're asleep. They have no idea what's going on. I went out by night through the valley gate to the serpent well and the refuse gate, and viewed the walls of Jerusalem, which were broken down, and the gates which were burned with fire. Up to now, everything that he has was just imagination. They tell me that this is, I don't know what I'm going to find. I've never been here before. This is all new ground to me. So now I got to go out over there and I got to check it out. I went out by night, verse 13, through the valley gate. Okay, we're going to see these different gates along the wall in verse 3. Went out by the valley gate to the serpent well, okay, and the refuse gate, and viewed the walls of Jerusalem, which were broken down, and its gates were burned with fire. Then I went to the fountain gate and to the king's pool, but there was no room for the animal under me to pass. He said the animal, I had to get off of the animal to kind of walk around the rubble that was there. We couldn't even go through the fountain gate. The gates had been burned with fire. The wall had been destroyed, many years ago by Nebuchadnezzar. This didn't have to happen, but because of the stubbornness of the Jewish leaders in the time of, who was it? In the time of, I don't remember what the king's name that was there, but Isaiah had told them, just give in. But Nebuchadnezzar came the third time and said, okay, I've had enough with you guys. The Romans were going to do the same thing a few hundred years later. Then I went on to the fountain gate and to the king's pool, but there was no room for the animal under me to pass. So I went up in the night by the valley and viewed the wall. Then I turned back and entered by the valley gate, so returned. He says, I've seen enough. I've been out and around, and I've looked at the different, some of the wall, some of the gate. I couldn't even get through parts. So I had to go around through the valley to be able to look from a distance and to look at the wall and to see the situation. And my God, this wall is busted. These gates are burned with fire. They never even had the time to move much of the rubble out of the way, just enough for them to move in through some of the gates, but they weren't even able to use all of the gates. The wall the wall had a purpose. It was for protection. The wall and the gates are there not only to keep the enemy out, but to let your friends in. Like angels and all kinds of good stuff. I went out by night through the valley gate. I went here and I went there. I went to the fountain gate. There's no room for me to pass. I went up by night into the valley, viewed the wall. I turned back and entered by the, and so returned. And the officials did not know where I had gone or what I had done. We've just assessed the situation. We're looking around and seeing what's in front of us. I had not yet told the Jews, the priests, the nobles, the officials, or the others who did the work. Little did they know that they were going to be part of the solution. Little did they know that that whirlpool was still spinning around, and the Jews, the priests, the nobles, the officials, or the others who did the work. Now he's writing it from after the fact. But he says, these guys, I haven't told them yet, but they're gonna be there. And we're going to see them. We're going to see the workers there. The workers, I believe, in chapter 4, we're going to see them with a sword in one hand and a trawl in the other. They did not know where he had gone, what he had done, because he had not told them yet. Kind of sneaks out after the third day in the evening and starts checking the situation out. Then I said to them, now it's time. Now it's time. Then I said to them, you see the distress that we are in. He's taking ownership. I mean, he's part of the solution. He's not saying, well, you guys need to get this done. I'm going back to Shushan. I got it made. No, he says, listen, we are in distress. Is that not what Hanani had told them in the second verse of the first chapter? The walls are broken down. The people are in great distress. You see the distress that we are in. Sometimes I like looking at a word in the dictionary and getting some clarification. Distress. The taking of any personal chattel from a wrongdoer to answer a demand, to procure a satisfaction for a wrong committed, a thing taken by distraining, that's what you seize to procure satisfaction. So things have been taken. Distress means that they had been things had been taken from them. Extreme pain, anguish of body or mind, distress. We all live in a very stressful times. We live in a stressful atmosphere in our jobs, in our houses, and places that we go, so we de-stress. Well, these people were in great distress. You see the distress that we are in. Verse 17, how Jerusalem lies in waste, its gates are burned with fire. Come, let us build the wall of Jerusalem, that we may no longer be a reproach. I have a solution. Not only do I have a solution, I have a calling from God. And God has given us a vision, and there's provision to go along with it. Then I told them, verse 18, of the hand of my God, which had been good upon me, and also of the king's words that he had spoken to me. So they said, let us rise up and build. See, he had a plan. And before he was able to he had to assess the situation first. But, kind of in his back pocket there someplace, he had some Visa cards and some MasterCards. He had some architectural drawings. He had, some soldiers along with him, and he had permission from the king. Just kind of imagine. All of a sudden he throws it out there and he says, well, how are we going to do this? Well, this is what we have. And we can get the timbers already. We already have permission. And where are we going to, it just so happens that I got this also. He already had it set up for them. I told them, now it's time to share it, of the hand of my God, which had been good upon me, and also of the king's words that he had spoken to me. So they said, let us rise up and build. Then they set their hands to this good work. What's happening? Now they have been pulled in by the whirlpool. You see that, don't you? Now they have been pulled in. Now it's not just a them. Now it's not just a how or where. It's, I got it all together, dude. Here's the plan. Let's just get together and let's just do the job. And that's where we're headed. That's where we're headed as we continue verse by verse and chapter by chapter. That is where I answered. The last verse says, so I answered them and said to them, the God of heaven himself will prosper us. I'll continue there on Monday's installment of this study.